Today's songwriting insights are from Breanna Rhea, who is the campus worship and production leader at Echo Church in Sunnyvale. This message was given to the Valley Christian High School worship team through Zoom. May it be helpful and encouraging to you as well.
So I graduated from Valley in 2016, as some of you guys know, so like 5 years ago almost. It's crazy. Super weird. It feels very recent, but this is Caleb. We both work at Echo Church, and I've been there for about almost 5 years, and Caleb's been there a little bit longer.
About the same, 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about yourself.
I'm Caleb. I went to King's Academy, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I graduated in like 2013. Yeah, it's good. But I got into firefighting and then decided that, well, I've always had this strong calling for writing music and just participating within like the worship realm. So I'm a worship leader at Echo. I run our social media, but I also write music for us. So what it looks like for me is taking our music, putting it through a producer, and actually getting finished products. So yeah,
it's incredible the certain gifts that God has given each of us, whether it's through ideas that we have or even trying to create something into a song that can either be a personal song just for you, for like a reflection for a certain season of your life, or it can be more of a communal song, something that can apply to hundreds of thousands of people singing or learning or applying to their own situation as well. So there's two, at least kind of that I think, two specific kinds of songs that you can write. The communal song, or more of just a personal, reflective, like by yourself devotional type of song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that to piggyback off of her, being really authentic with it is what you need to do when you're authentic and honest, blunt in those quiet times with God, are very crucial. But there's a sense that, like, if I were to write a song for, say, our church Echo, if I were to write a song and use the bluntness and the some honest things that I'm going through personally, it may not actually carry to like a congregational setting where there's a lot of people. Some people don't connect with it, which is okay. But I think that you need to write songs for both. Like, write songs for the honest times, are really or some are really dark, some are really bright, but there's a setting for corporate time which you actually have to protect in a way that, like, you can pull different emotions out of people that they didn't even know were there with your lyrics. But
yeah, and it's also really easy. There's so many different genres of music and types of music and styles of music, and it's, at least starting out for me writing music, it was really easy to want to compare myself to other writers and kind of become part of their writing style, or even be inspired by it, and want to kind of write in that direction. But the great part is like, we are all created to have our own style. We are each given, the words that you write down are your words, hopefully, but the words that God has placed in your heart to write, whether it's just for you to have or if it's for you to share in like a communal setting as well. So just being really raw and authentic with that, and not trying to create some different language or like lingo that is not personal to you. It's really easy to tell kind of certain songwriters or songs that may be kind of not fake, but more like ingenuine, because it's not something that you personally have gone through, but it's something that you've seen other successful artists do. And then you're like, oh, I want to kind of go that direction. And maybe it works, but it's also very important to be authentic in what you're going through, to apply that to other people as well, or for your own personal songwriting time.
For me personally, I've always been lyric before music, which this has been for a long time, like probably a couple of years now. I always wrote based on like scripture. So I'd take scripture and I'd just dissect it and really just pour my heart into it, and it would turn into a song. But I didn't have specific like melodies, or it actually caused a little bit of issue for me to try and fit this lyric into a melody that sometimes didn't flow. But I just recently I flipped it. I don't know when it happened, but I started writing melody first and then wrote in lyric. And it does it's not any right way, but that's just
Yeah. Yeah, there's, and the cool part about it is like there's many different ways to start writing a song. For me, I always write with melody first. So I started learning the piano first, and I can kind of pick up on melody first, and then based off of kind of how I like the melody, I can apply lyrics that I have either written previously or just kind of words that have come to my head, or maybe themes. It doesn't even have to be specific, like sentences or anything like that. It can maybe be an overall theme that you want to write on, like forgiveness, or like God's glory, or it doesn't need to be specific sentences. And then you can kind of create and cultivate your song based off of that. And it can be switched too. You could have the words first and then later on mess around with different melodies. Yeah.
Like a very practical way that I used to, and I still use this. If I'm, well, first I should start with, like, if you want to write music, sit down and write music. Like, build it into your schedule, or it may not happen. I think that we often have a mindset of, whenever we just get like a creative little, like, hits you every now and then, you're like, oh, that's good, and then you make a little chunk and you leave it. You're like, oh, next time I'm creative, it'll pop up. But a lot of people who write music, they just sit down, they write it in, they make sure that they have an allotted time that they write music, and they force it to be their creative time.
Yeah.
But something that speaks to that was like, if you get like writer's block, or if you want to start something where you're writing and you just there's nothing, write scripture, sing a passage, take a melody line that you already know off of a Disney song, who knows, sing scripture over that instead.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I started writing Christian music first, just because I mean, that's all I've really ever known in regards to like performing music live, or singing, or being part of a team. You're always kind of surrounded in like the worship realm. I think it's really important to also stretch your creativity and do both.
Yes.
Right, in both secular and Christian, because even in like a moment, they can kind of intertwine with some of your own personal feelings, as well as like it's good to kind of explore both. I haven't done as much secular yet. I have a song coming out in a couple months that's kind of a more like lo-fi. It's a different feel, but it is Christian. And some of those like ideas or even like melodies can come from like more of the pop side or more of the secular side. So it really just depends on what you're passionate about in writing and just putting that out there.
Rhyming. How do you think of rhyming
You're good at this.
lyrics?
Yeah.
All right, this for me, this app will save your life. So what I do is I try not to stick to one rhyming pattern. Like, if you take like, if you guys, I don't know if you guys have walked through like A-B or AAB, like the rhyming patterns matter, and like where you end up. Typically in worship music, it's an A-B platform. So like every other line will rhyme, versus, so you sing a line, you sing your next line, but that third line rhymes with the first one, something like that. That's the rhyme scheme that most worship music is wrapped around, but I mean, it's evolving. With helping me with rhyming in general has been this app called a Rhyme Zone. Pull it up. I'll write out, like, if I have one line that I'm like, oh, this is good, I'll take that last word and I'll rhyme with it. And usually I'll use that not to write verbatim, but to use as like something to at least spark or ignite some like inspiration. It's called a Rhyme Zone. I'll usually also workshop, like if I'm trying to rhyme with one particular thing, what I'll do is I'll kind of stack a few words that I like that are sparking different ideas. I'll write them all down, and then I'll just write something about each one and see how it fits in, and then what's really feeling the song. That's how I go about finding the right one.
That sounds great. I was just reading about Eminem, and he was saying that before he became popular, he was in competitions with rapping in his neighborhood, and he would take any line like transcendental meditation, and he would think of words that go along with that all rhyme. with I forget what he put, but it didn't make a lot of sense, but they were real words that all rhymed with that, and he would rap those out.
Yep.
And so anyway,
And it's crazy because Eminem he is very good with, it's not just, he's not rhyming and there's no meaning to it. Everything has a very definitive meaning and like purpose for it being there, which I actually I enjoy. There's, in the worship realm, I would have to say Jen Johnson does this incredibly, from Bethel Music.
okay.
There's a song called God, I Look to You. And the very first line when she originally wrote it, it was, God, I look to you. I am so overwhelmed. And this is kind of talking to like the importance of your words and how even just a subtle shift can change the entire mood and like the passion for the song. So it used to be, God, I look to you. I am so overwhelmed. Changing that to, God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed is just this huge shift. So paying attention and really looking for those words that are intentional, but not holding on to something so tightly that you're like, no, this is it. That's another thing that I tend to do too much. Actually, I just mentioned it to Bree the other day. I was like, man, I test my songs a little too much. Like I'll take it and I'm like, it's just okay, and I'll scrap the whole thing and start again. And it's something that I need to stop doing. But
well, it's also important to do to not be so attached to your song, and then to kind of start over or mess around with it. Like that's hard for me. I like to keep the song that I write. I'm like, this is personal.
Try
to me.
different melodies, try different lyrics.
Yeah, change it around, and that'll be really helpful in expanding creativity.
That also helps with writing as well. So if I'm writing a song with her and she gives me this lyric and I'm like, this is really good, you know what you could say here, this could really do this. And for her to be kind of open-handed with it, and be a little bit more flexible to really test it out, at least test it out, try a different melody. Hey, what if you took this melody, you do this instead? If you're not really open-handed with it, then there's no real point in co-leading or co-writing.
Especially with what you guys are going to be doing and working in pairs. It's really important to have kind of open mindset to each other, because you both come from different perspectives, which is a great thing with co-writing.